Earlier this week, Lindsay traveled to a Missouri jail to interview a man named Kevin Strickland. He's been in jail for 43 years for a triple murder he has consistently said he didn't do. The local prosecutor's office that originally convicted now agree, yet Kevin is still in jail. The state's Supreme Court refuses to hear his case. The governor so far refuses to pardon him, and Kevin continues to lose valuable time with the family he has lost decades being with. How could this happen? Well, our Lindsay Davis brings us this ABC News exclusive.
We met Kevin Strickland on his 62nd birthday.
Let me start by saying happy birthday to you. Any thoughts in particular on this day with regard to spending another day, another year here?
I was determined to spend this birthday awake as long as I could. You know, never know if this is going to be the last one.
This is the 43rd birthday he's spent behind bars.
I would like to get a sense of what it does to someone to be behind bars for 43 years.
I think I've been destroyed.
What he calls his destruction is not just the result of decades in prison, it's decades in prison for a crime he says he didn't commit. In fact, the same prosecutor's office that tried him for a 1978 triple murder has since determined he's innocent.
So to Mr. Strickland, I am profoundly sorry for the harm that has come to you.
That was more than a month ago, and yet here Mr. Strickland sits, what he calls preparing for the grave.
I turned 62 today, and I just don't feel I got a lot of time left. I've experienced a couple of heart attacks. I got high blood pressure. My ability to stand is diminished.
And yet people are now standing up for Strickland, who's now wheelchair bound. The Midwest Innocence Project took on his case 3 years ago.
I think here, when there's not a question of innocence and where the prosecutor and other authority figures agree that he should come home, I would certainly hope that our elected officials would give it a really hard and quick look.
More than a dozen state lawmakers are now calling on Missouri Governor Mike Parson to pardon Strickland. Among them, the Republican chair of the state's House committee that oversees their prison system.
So now that we've gotten to this point, I'm just curious why Mr. Strickland is still behind bars.
Boy, that's a hard reality. The only thing I can tell you about that, slightly in defense of this system, is that it believes in finality.
That finality came for Kevin Strickland in 1979, following his arrest a year earlier for the gruesome triple homicide of Larry Ingram, John Walker, and Sherry Black. Police arriving at this Kansas City home found blood-stained sheets, trash-covered floors. Concerned neighbors looking at investigators in horror. That night is seared in Strickland's memory.
April 25th, 1978, 9:30 p.m. It was a Tuesday.
All right.
Do you remember what you were doing?
Yes, I know exactly what I was doing. I was at home. I think I was watching Three's Company and on and off the telephone.
Relatives confirmed his alibi at the time.
So at what point do police come to you and start accusing you of this triple murder?
The next morning.
And you are thinking,
This can't be happening.
The crime shook the local community. While Strickland was in custody charged with the murders, two other suspects, Kilm Atkins and Vincent Bell, were on the run. Police found Strickland's fingerprint on Bell's car, which Strickland says he had driven on multiple occasions as the men grew up together. He also says he was confident Cynthia Douglas, the only surviving eyewitness, knew him and would know he was not involved.
Cynthia Douglas then points you out as being one of the shooters.
Right. Yeah, disbelief, total disbelief.
So then you have a trial. No part of you thought you're going to end up getting
No way. I didn't
convicted.
No, the system works.
That's what you thought.
It works. They don't make mistakes like this. This is a capital charge. This is a big deal. They don't make mistakes and grab the wrong person, do they?
His first trial ended in a hung jury. The lone black juror, the only holdout.
What did the prosecutor at the time, do you remember what he said?
I'll never forget it. He come over to the table, I'm sitting there, and he tells my attorney, he said, I'll make sure this doesn't happen next time.
And so what that meant is at the second trial, the prosecutor used every one of what's called peremptory strikes. So a prosecutor's allowed to just strike people, both sides are, to just strike people without giving a reason. He used every one of his peremptory strikes to strike the remaining black jurors from the pool, and Mr. Strickland was convicted by an all-white jury.
So you feel that race played a role in this?
Totally.
In the second trial, Strickland says he was not given the presumption of innocence. The reporter whose story brought Strickland's case to the prosecutor's attention recalls a conversation he had with one of the members of that jury.
She said the only detail she could remember from the trial was that Mr. Strickland looked in his driver's license photo like a thug and a bad guy, but that in court he looked like her next door neighbor, that he was wearing nice clothes.
What was it like hearing the guilty when you're in the courtroom as a teenager for something that you have maintained you didn't do?
I didn't know I could cry that bad. I mean, so bad snot coming out of my nose. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Both Bell and Adkins ultimately admitted to the murders and cleared Strickland in sworn confessions. The original prosecutor, who is now deceased, never looked further into those claims of Strickland's innocence.
The current prosecutor, who had nothing to do with this case, recently said, it is important
to recognize when the system has made wrongs. And what we did in this case was wrong.
Does that recognition that you've been done wrong make it any better?
Yes, coming from her, yes, because she didn't have to say that.
In February of 2009, an unexpected email that would ultimately have major implications from Cynthia Douglas to the Midwest Innocence Project with the subject, wrongfully charged. I am seeking info on how to help someone that was wrongfully accused. I was the only eyewitness and things were not clear back then, but now I know more and would like to help this person if I can.
The most important piece of evidence was a recantation of a witness.
She told her now ex-husband that the police told her all she had to do was pick Strickland and this would be over.
Cynthia Douglas passed away in 2015. ABC News reached out to the Kansas City Police Department and they deferred comment to the prosecutor's office.
You remain hopeful today? You think you're going to get out this year?
More so now than ever.
But just last week, the Missouri Supreme Court denied a petition to free him, something his lawyer calls a procedural barrier.
So we don't know why the Missouri Supreme Court denied.
They don't have to give an explanation. It's just rubber stamp denied. That's it?
That's right. It was simply denied and no explanation was given.
Also last week, Governor Parsons' office announced the names of 36 pardons. Kevin Strickland was not one of them.
When something like that comes up, we look at those cases, but I don't know that necessarily makes it a priority to jump in front of the line. He's been tried, again, and a jury of his peers that found him guilty.
Kevin Strickland has served more than 15,000 days behind bars. If exonerated, he will be one of the longest wrongful imprisonments in U.S. history.
Let's just call it what it is. This is wrong. And everyone that works in this system must find a way to do the right thing now. The right thing is getting Mr. Strickland out.
So one of those people who could do that, the governor, he just compiled the list, announced 36 names of people he's going to pardon. You get out of jail free card, you get out of jail free card, but not for you, Mr. Strickland. Again, trying to just help me understand why this is so difficult.
I don't think I can answer that. I don't think I can answer that. I don't know the answer. I don't know why.
Let's say he does get out. Does he get more than an apology?
In the state of Missouri, no. Under Missouri law, those who have been exonerated do not get compensation. It's another wrong.
But here in the show me state of Missouri, it's unclear just what else Mr. Strickland would have to show in order to prove his innocence. According to Injustice Watch, for decades, the state's attorney general's office has fought nearly every wrongful conviction case.
That you only want to be pardoned or exonerated, that a commutation of your sentence would not be enough. Why is that?
Oh, no, I'm not. That's kind of saying I did it, but you feel like I've served enough time. No, I didn't do it. No, wipe it off.
How does it feel to know that the two people who admit that they were responsible for the crime, Bell and Adkins, they've already served their time, served about 10 years each. They did it. They said they did it. You say you didn't do it, and here you sit.
I'm sorry. How does it feel? Ooh. I don't know what title to put on that. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, how could somebody admit to doing it, come in and go out, and I denied it from the start, and I'm still here? You keep taking me back to feelings, and I really can't put them in words.
You don't feel anymore.
I'm kind of numb.
One thing he does feel is the burdensome sense of loss. His childhood home, now just an empty lot.
We had a nice little a rest-style house here with a two-car garage.
His brother, who's always maintained that Strickland was home on the night of those murders, tells us their mother may not have much time left.
One of the things that Kevin speaks about just obsessively is that he would like to see my mother before she's gone. It doesn't look like that may happen. I don't believe that my mother may be with us more than 1 or 2 years longer.
I really hate that I missed out my daughter growing up calling somebody else dead, you know? Yeah, that's heartbreaker.
So what do you do? How do you start over your life at 62?
I kind of jokingly talked about that recently with a friend of mine. I guess I give me a cardboard box and get up under the bridge somewhere.
Is that really, that's how you're going to start, you feel?
I mean, what do I have? I mean, if they were to tell me roll out now, they'd take this chair. I had to crawl out the front door. I have nothing.
What does justice look like?
What does justice look like? That's a tough one. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
What's your next step at this point?
We took that petition that was filed in the Missouri Supreme Court, and we filed that same petition now in the Circuit Court in DeKalb County, which is the county where he is being held in prison. They have asked the Attorney General to respond and to make known their position in July.
Another avenue is Senate Bill 53.
The Missouri legislature just passed a bill, Senate Bill 53, which allows a prosecutor to file a motion for new trial to overturn a wrongful conviction. So if that law goes into effect, it would go into effect on August 28th, and at that point, the prosecutor would have the power to file a motion for new trial to overturn Mr. Strickland's conviction.
That bill is still sitting on the governor's desk, awaiting his signature.
Any bucket list item that you dream of being able to do?
I want to go to the ocean. You know, I've never been on a beach, not even a man-made beach. I want to go in, a clear ocean where you can see the water, see the sand in the water. And I want to go out far in the ocean where you can't see any land, any direction. And not just go out there, but get in that water. I want to feel the power, of God's creation. I want to feel that water.
We reached out to both Missouri's governor and the state's attorney general repeatedly. Both declined our requests for comment. Incredible reporting there by our Lindsay Davis.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.